Yeah, it's going.
Welcome back, ghouls and goblins. We're here again with the Nightingale Hour, and today we are covering the Santa Fe apartments and the Meridian apartments um, in Midland, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm April,
And I'm Camille.
and this is the Nightingale Hour. So, we are going to talk about the Meridian apartments first. I do want to disclose that there is trigger warnings such as death and suicide in both of the stories before we start. So if you're not on tap with hearing that, then go feel
This
free.
is not the video for you.
This isn't it.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's okay. That is absolutely okay to not be okay with that right now. We have other videos that you can definitely chime in on and listen to.
yeah. So you know where the Meridian apartments are?
Yeah.
So they're off of Holiday Hill and Briarwood. That corner. Okay. So I had a friend that lived there, and he lived there for quite a while. And he told me that he kept seeing things, and I was like what? You know, and he said this didn't start until after he moved. So of course, like he was in the back at first, and then they moved him more closer up to like where the swimming pool and the office is and stuff like that. So this was around like 2002. I guess he he was a gamer, so he tended to stay up pretty late or whatever. He was living there.
Normal.
Yeah, he was living there with one of his now ex-girlfriends. And you know they were sitting up playing, watching a movie or something like that, and he heard, I guess, what sounded like something was walking on the roof. So he was in it wasn't just like a, you know, a two apartment. It was a townhouse. So he had an upstairs and a downstairs. And
So there should be no reason why you could hear somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
And his neighbors were pretty quiet. So there was no like partying or anything really. But he heard like what sounded like somebody was walking on the roof. And so he went out and stuff, and he had seen his neighbor's wife outside. He had seen his neighbor's wife outside and blood running off the porch. And his neighbor's wife was sitting there screaming, "Why, how could you do this to us? How could you do this to us?" While on the phone with the police and stuff like that. And so they came to pick up the body and whatever, which he had committed suicide on the balcony. And her and the children found him. So they came to pick up the body, whatever, ambulance came, and he steps back and kind of just like glances up at the roof, and there's this dark figure like crouched on the roof, like watching almost. And then he said that it was like fast, like it just kind of off into the distance and disappeared. And then a few weeks later, again, he heard the knocking on the roof, and he was like, what the hell? And so he went outside. He stepped into the parking lot to like get a better view of the roof. And he sees this thing up there again. And this time he sees it jump from his building to the building across the parking lot that was like right in front of his. Literally like just jumped over to the other building. So yeah, he described it as like a black figure that was like crawling, like on, like how you would see somebody like crawling on their hands and feet with their You know, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, it stood there and was staring at him and stood up. And he said that it was a tall black figure with long legs and long arms. um, Let me see. Sorry, I'm reading my notes. Okay, so he went back inside, and then heard another thud again on the ceiling. And he peeked out the window and he saw this black thing jump from his building to the building across. And then a few days later, that building caught on fire. The apartment that caught on fire, because those are townhouses too.
Mhm.
The apartment that caught on fire was vacant.
Oh.
Like there's nobody that lived there.
So it's like, why?
Yeah. So that was the first apartment that caught on fire in that building, and then it led over to the apartment on the left. And completely like they had to like
Rebuild the whole
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
Dang.
Which is really weird because like before we knew about it,
Mhm.
because I think me and Ashton were trying to look for another apartment at that time. And we were looking for a townhouse and whatever, and we had seen, they were like, yeah, this building burnt down, it was some electrical stuff, whatever.
Electrical stuff.
Yeah. And they had shown us the apartment that burnt down, that initially started. And whenever I told my friend this, he was like, oh yeah. And that's where he started telling me about this thing that was jumping from roof to roof. And he's like, nobody lived in that apartment. It was completely vacant and had been vacant for a while.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, okay. But like even going into the apartment, like it had weird vibes to it. Like there's this weird energy in that apartment. Needless to say, we didn't get it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so this thing, whenever he was looking out his window, crawled across the roof of the other building and then disappeared. And that was it had caught on fire a few days after he had seen that thing jump to it or on top of it. And then again a few weeks before he moved out of the apartments to get I think he went to go either live with his parents for a little bit or get another apartment or something like that. So a few weeks before he moved out, he saw this black figure again. And this time it jumped from his building to the building across. And I don't know how to explain the layout. So here's the road. And then his building's here, this building's here, and then there's like another parking lot right here.
Mhm.
And then across from that is another driveway to get to the back, and then another building over here.
Mhm.
That thing jumped from this building to this building.
Without touching the other
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like clear across that wide open parking lot area. And maybe a couple of days after that, he had moved out and whatever, and the building that it had jumped on across that large parking lot area caught on fire and burnt down, and they had to rebuild it. And a couple months after that, another building on the further side caught on fire, and they had to rebuild that. I don't believe in coincidences. Maybe it is a coincidence, but I don't believe in coincidences. I kind of feel like maybe this thing is like it follows tragedy or it follows, like chaos or stuff like that.
So it thrives on it.
Yeah. And the thing is
creates
like
something.
in all of these scenarios of these buildings catching on fire, nobody got hurt.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
But unfortunate for people around because I'm sure the neighbors had to evacuate and stuff.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I was like, have you told anybody about this? And he's like, no, just you. I was like, okay.
Wow. And if you're from Midland and you went and you've lived in those apartments, let us know in the comments.
If you've seen anything.
Yeah. Or heard anything, or what happened, or whatever. Insight is good.
Yep. That is literally what we thrive on, but this podcast is getting tales and stories and stuff. And we do want to make it local so that, I don't know. I think it's really exciting hearing like local stories.
Yeah.
Because it's like right there. Ooh.
Yeah. But it's hard when you live in a city like this, because it's like,
it's very hush.
Yeah.
And just.
But if you hear anything or you know anything, let us know so we can keep going on with local stuff.
And I mean, don't forget, next week we're doing listener stories too. So of course we'll do 2 at a time, maybe 3, 3 or 4, maybe. But we'll definitely keep y'all stories and go over them.
Yeah. So now we go into the Santa Fe apartments, and most people know what I'm about to talk about, but there's another apartment that stuff happened, so that's going to be interesting to tell. But and then I personally have lived there since 07. I recently moved out with my husband in 2018. So trust me, we've been there a very, very long time.
11 years.
Yeah. A long time. And I have family there. They're still there. So yeah. So in 2018, there was 2 people found dead in one of the apartments. Everybody knows what apartment that is, but I would advise not to go and mess with those people or talk with those people that are currently
and that's the same thing over here. Like if we give out coordinates or triangulate the area or whatever, like please do not go up to these people or places that are living there.
If they come to us and want to talk to us and do a whole thing, that's awesome. So if you're listening, or if you know who's there and they want to talk to us about their experiences, that's another thing. But I would not mess with people's peace.
Yeah. Be respectful, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why I won't say where.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so 2 people were found dead. One, it was a murder, suicide. So the Midland apartment was called at 12:27 a.m. to this apartment for a disturbance. When police arrived to the scene, they found Sharika Vega, 21, and Stephen, I don't even know how to say his last name, was dead from gunshot wounds. So it was believed that it was a murder-suicide by the male. Now, I couldn't find any stories about why,
like what
happened, or what caused it. So I'm not going to make assumptions.
Yeah.
So that's where it kind of goes black there. So again, if you know somebody, or let us comment, DM us.
From the people that I know that lived there, there's a lot of drama that goes on there.
In Santa Fe?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
there's
yeah.
a lot of drama.
No, I know. There's some other stuff that I'm going to tell after the story. It's going to be personal stuff, and then stuff that happened to somebody else, and not just the spooky stuff. Just
just the vicious, violent stuff.
Yeah. So the investigation actually still remains ongoing.
So they still haven't figured out. So you're telling me nobody talked to these people prior, or?
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. But the apartment is considered to be haunted after the extreme violence. The staff decided to re-rent the place, which is obvious,
Right,
like new
right.
doors. They redid everything,
Right.
which
That's part of
is
running a
surprising me.
business. Like,
Yeah, which I mean, the other apartment that I'm going to talk about too, you could tell that they tried their best, but wasn't. But anyway, um, and so at first it was just like the showers would go on by themselves and the closets would like open when they know that they've shut them.
right.
You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. And then it just started getting worse and worse and worse, where things were getting thrown. Pieces of paper would be ripped. They had animals,
Mhm.
and the animals would not go into the main area, which is where the bodies were found,
Oh.
or in the main area.
Mhm.
Um, and people were getting scratched and applying like things were being scratched, like sofas, and like you could see like scratches.
Like, were there tears in the...
Like they were
Or
saying
it's like if somebody were just like...
it's like somebody was grabbing onto it and like
Oh.
yeah. Hmm.
Oh, hell no.
And then the most severe is that in that apartment that people were getting thrown off the bed.
And the one where the murder-suicide was?
Mhm.
Oh my God.
People were literally going to sleep and being woken up by being thrown off the bed. Mhm. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. They found bruises on their ankles and on their wrists and on their back, where you can see they've been like pulled and pushed and yanked. So that's crazy to me. So that's just scary when you think about it, really.
Shit.
But so with my experience, you know, in '07 I was 17. I'm currently 32 right now. So I was 17. So I, yeah, I'm 17. I think I just turned 17. But we started off in this, oh, we've been in the same apartment for literally ever. But um my biggest thing was always feeling like you're not by yourself.
Right. Like there's always like...
There's always something. It's just like in the back,
Yeah.
in the back of your head. You're just like, you're like, ew, why are you looking at me like that? Kind of feeling.
Yeah.
It's just like, and then you'd be doing something, and then you would hear like, hey,
Ew.
hey, and you're just like, and you're by yourself, and you know you're by, like, I know I was by myself.
Right.
So it's just like,
Hello.
okay. Hello. But, and then one time, I hated, okay, so so my parents like things pitch black. They like everything like no light. They're very sensitive people.
Mhm.
So everything, like if we had the kitchen light on in the kitchen, and so the Santa Fe apartments are set up, most of them are the same. Here, you have the front door right in front of you, and then when you come into the entranceway, you have the living room, and then you walk a little bit forward, you have the kitchen, but to your right, if you have a two-bedroom, to your right, you have a bedroom that has a bathroom inside, and then to your left, you have a bedroom with a bathroom in there. So even with the kitchen light on, my dad would wake up and he'd be like, "Turn off the light off." So I'm just like, "Okay, I'm so sorry." But you wouldn't think he would see it, but he would. So
Yeah.
so my dad had put a nightlight there for me because get up to drink water and stuff. He's like, "This is it. You turn on the light. You're gonna make me mad." And I'm like, "No." My dad's actually really nice. He just doesn't like to be woken up. But so just that feeling at night, maybe it's just like a ghost story or whatever that you just remind yourself, but it's just like in the back of my mind where I just feel constantly like I had to like run to go get water and go back into the room. But even then, I still didn't feel safe in the room.
Right.
But it's just like
whatever it is still there following you.
Mm-hmm. So here I am with my cup, like
shadow.
But there was another instance where I was going into the kitchen and I went to go grab a cup to go get my water, and so the bar's behind me, and here's a little water thing, and I'm grabbing it, and then all I see is like a hand just like come out from the left side of me, just like to reach for me. And at first I was like, oh, it's probably my sister or something.
Yeah.
And then it just pulled back real quick. And then I turned around. There's nobody there. First of all, I would have heard my sister open the door because they're rickety rackety as hell. So I would have heard her. Even if she did it super softly, it still would have made that like noise.
Yeah.
So I was like, and there was nobody. And I'm like, and that happened to me several times. But the most scariest thing that's ever happened to me, I hated taking showers in that place. I would rather go to a friend's house and pay somebody.
You're like at your most vulnerable moment. Oh my gosh.
That's why I would hear haze a lot. That's where my biggest moments would be, and this wasn't just one time, this happened several times where I'd be taking a shower and everybody has this fear. And when I tell you that it happened to me, I am traumatized for the rest of my life because of this. But I'm, whatever, I'm taking a shower, doing my hair, whatever. And I'm washing it out, and all you just feel is like somebody, like if somebody was to grab your hair from the back. Ugh. Nope. He was like, "Ooh, you missed a spot."
Oh my god.
No, but that. Mm-mm. And then I've seen my sister's hair like move up and then fall. And then she'd be like, "Oh, there was nothing."
Like, I know you felt that.
And she's just like, "No."
Who are you lying to? Yourself.
So the next story is my friend lived to the apartment next to me upstairs. And she was there for only a year. And in her apartment, because like I said, it's set up the exact same way. In her apartment, something had to have happened in the apartment, because what we heard in the first story is exactly what she's experienced in this story to the T. The only difference is the ceiling. You can tell where they used a shotgun.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You can tell where they used a shotgun to do it.
They didn't like paint over it?
They tried their best. You can tell that they tried to like spackle and like tried their best, but you could still tell.
It's like the holes or like the blood?
All of it. Yeah. It was like, you could tell that they tried, but it was just like, did you really try that hard? You know what I mean? Like, okay, saving a few dollars is whatever, but if it's that big, like,
Yeah, like redo the entire thing.
um, but and then the doors, it's like, why didn't they change the doors? Because the doors had like weird stain marks that doesn't make sense why they look like that. It looks like from splatter. Hmm.
I'm just saying, like, I've been in
Mhm.
some apartments where we get the landlord special and like there's bugs on the fucking wall.
No, I know. Mhm.
Like there's no excuse as to why that wouldn't be covered up good enough.
Yeah, no.
Like literally our last apartment that we had, I guess somebody that was in there previously had punched a hole in the door
Hmm.
and these motherfuckers put duct tape over it and then painted it. I wish I was kidding, but
Just buy a fucking door. Like,
but you know what I mean? Like you couldn't see the color of the duct tape. You could see it, but you couldn't see the colors. So like if there's blood splatter, wash the fucking door and paint over it. There's no
you can,
reason.
but the thing is like you could tell, but they did a shitty job painting it. You know what I'm saying? Like they just put one layer. I'm like, bitch, that was a 10 layer kind of, or get a whole new door. Like doors are. I mean, go to fucking Home Depot,
I mean,
rub some
but Santa
pennies
Fe
together. Like
apartments aren't exactly known for being big spenders.
that is true because let me tell you something. My so I'm a complaint. My poor father. He lives in the apartment, and you could literally see the outside. You could see the sun because of the fucking. It's just cracked, the whole edge, and he's upstairs. I'm like, Dad, that wall's gonna come down. And he's like, "Oh, it's okay. I'll just put some what is it? Foam caulking." He's all oh my he's like, "I don't want to bother them." I was like, "It's their job."
It's like it's literally why you're paying rent.
He's just whatever.
His entire apartment is gonna come down. Whatever. Anyway.
But there's also I feel like those apartments so I've also had people tell me that they've had experiences where like they've had people it looks like somebody's watching them from the window, but like so the Santa Fe has like a little balcony area.
Mm-hmm.
You have two sets of windows,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have one that's like on the outside edge area,
Mm-hmm.
top and bottom.
Right.
You know, so people from the top are telling me that they've seen people. It looks like a figure just standing
What the
right there
heck?
on that side one where nobody. There's
Can
no
stand
way
there, yeah.
nobody can stand there. No way.
It's vampire. Sorry, I gotta move back.
Yeah. I won't move back. But I would it would be I'd be struggling real hard if I moved back. But um also they have one of the most jankiest people living there because I have family members who have literally been stalked, harassed. A male had been sexually assaulted checking the mail by another male. Like, and the apartments didn't do
A damn
a
thing.
damn thing about it.
Mm.
It's that money, you know? Just like they did with the blood, just paint over it.
Yeah, just brush it under the rug. It'll be alright. How annoying.
And I know you can't fix everything. Like I'm not
It's
saying
understandable, and me and Ashton were talking about that too. So whenever we were living at our old apartment, Michael Ass also lived there,
Mhm.
and then our friend also lived there. God rest his soul. He ended up taking his own life and stuff. And me and Ashton were just sitting there and we're just like, God, like, it's sad to think that that big of a tragedy happen and they're just gonna rent it out like nothing and probably not tell anybody. And it was like, I think like a week after, they had picked him up and stuff, the apartment was already rented out to somebody new.
Of course it was. You got to keep that money going.
Yeah. And so, it just kind of made us sit there like, what's happened in our apartment? Who's done what in our apartment?
Exactly.
Ugh.
Exactly. It's I think it's bound to happen no matter where you're at.
Right,
Because
right.
there's just constant energy going.
Just in and out, in and out.
Yeah. So, but be safe out there, guys. Think of yourself first.
Was that everything you had on the apartments? That's a lot. That's a lot to digest. Oh man.
Sorry. Not sorry.
If you live at the Santa Fe Apartments and have experienced any happenings there, feel free to reach out to us in the comments or our email, nightingalehour@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Facebook too.
Instagram, anywhere.
Same thing with listener stories. If you have a spooky story that you'd like to share with us and want to share with our viewers, go ahead and reach out to us in the comments. If you know us personally, message us, text us, and you can email us at nightingalehour@gmail.com or on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah. And with that, good night.
Good night.